Okay, here is an assignment which has been provided by the teacher, and let's talk about the Korean K-pop, which is all about 1950s. Here is in-depth expanded version of the 1950s K-pop rate content suitable for a full presentation. It includes comprehensive background analysis and example tailored to the prompt. Okay, let's move here to K-pop in the 1950s, the origins and foundation of Korean popular music. Okay, let's do an intro about it. Although the term K-pop, Korean pop was not used during the 1950s, this decade hold great historical and cultural importance for the development of what will eventually become the global K-pop phenomenon. Early 1950s marked a turning point in Korean musical identity, a time when traditional Korean sounds began merging with Western musical influences, setting the groundwork for modern Korean popular music. Moving to the characteristics of Korean music in the 1950s, here I have uploaded some pictures about 1950s K-pop, and there are some ladies behind it. The dominant genre in the 1950s was trot music, which is considered the earliest form of Korean popular music. This style was rooted in Japanese, Inca Korean traditional music and Western ballads. Trot songs typically feature simple, repetitive melodies, vibrato heavy vocals, sentimental or melancholic lyrics often dealing with longing, love, loss, and national identity. Performance style during this era was very vocal focused with less emphasis on choreography or visual aesthetics in contrast to the idol performance of today. The music was performed live with acoustic or early electric instrument and accompanied by orchestra or band at that time. Okay, let's talk about its historical and cultural background. Korean War 1950 to 1953. Here I have also put here the war at that time photo which were captured by the AI, but the Korean War deeply shaped the cultural landscape of South Korea during this period. The trauma of the war, which resulted in millions of deaths and the division of the peninsula, was often reflected in the music of the time. Songs from the 1950s often convey hope, sorrow, patriotism, and emotional resilience. Music served as a tool for comfort and national healing. American influence with the arrival and long-term strengthening of U.S. military forces, Western musical styles like jazz, blues, swing, country, and early rock and roll were introduced to Korean musicians at the time. Especially Korean artists frequently perform for American soldiers on military bases known as Camptown Concert. This exposure to foreign music laid the foundation for the genre hybrid seen in the modern K-pop. Instruments like guitar, pianos, drum sets, and saxophones become more widespread, and Korean musicians began to emulate the performance style of American singers. Okay, let's go towards notable artists and songs. I have also uploaded some of the famous characters of the time, which was popular at the time, which represents the K-pop in that era. While idol groups didn't exist, several individual artists made a lasting impact during this decade. Here are a few iconic pictures. I will go with Naemin Seo, one of the most prominent rock singers of the 1950s. Famous for his aggressive voice and nationalistic themes, he was so much popular at the 1950s, represented the spirit of the Korean people during and after the war. Okay, here is one another character. Hyun In, known as the man who gave hope through music. Most famous song, Be Strong, Kim Son, a song dedicated to a woman separated from her lover due to war. At that time, many people have to suffer due to war because they are divided due to war, symbolizing the suffering and strength of Korean civilians, frequently performed for both Korean audience and US military. And another famous characteristic is Lee Miza. Through she rose to stardom in the early 1960s, she began performing as a teenager in the 1950s, often called the Queen of Illusions. She brought depth and elegance to throat music. Her early career represents a transitional movement from post-war balladry to more structured form of pop. Okay, and again move towards the number four, which is denoted by cultural shifts and musical evolution. I have uploaded some of the pictures like others. I have also uploaded here with so many ladies behind the pictures. The 1950s saw a blending of Korean identity with foreign influence, which would become a defining characteristic of K-pop decades later. Several long-term trends began here: global exposure, Korean artists performed for foreign troops helped normalize international audience for Korean performance. Rise of professional singer-artists began signing with agencies or entertainment troupes, leading towards the later idol training model. Popularization of radio music was primarily distributed through radio broadcast and live performance, setting the stage for future media-driven popularity. This era also reflected the collective Korean psyche, a society recovering from war and redefining its cultural values. Music was not just entertainment; it was survival, storytelling, and emotional expression. How the 1950s paved the way for K-pop. Here are some famous personality. Especially I don't like them, but I have uploaded their pictures. Even though modern K-pop didn't emerge until the 1990s, many of its core principles and themes originate in the 1915 fusion of styles, Korean Western hybridization, performance for the public and foreign audience. Especially they perform for the public and especially they also perform for the foreigners, which are came from different countries, and they show their special tradition, norms, and values through their music and song and through their dance performance. Use of music to tell national history. They also included their famous personalities through the music to tell the story to the public. Development of a structured music instrument. Through the K-pop, Korea has highly developed the structure in the field of music industry. Especially the 1950s were not glamorous, but they were foundational. They taught Korean artists how to blend tradition with modernity, how to cope with adversity through art, and how to create a distinctive Korean sound in a changing world. Although I have uploaded this picture, but the picture is not clearly seen, but I have to tell about it. First of all, there is production system, producer, causing, training, product producing permission, social content, social media content, success factors of K-pop is defined as like that. Also, in the conclusion, in summary, I have to tell some of the conclusion about it. In the early 1950s, may seem distant from today high energy K-pop performances, but they form the cultural and musical backbone of everything that followed. This means K-pop performance has boosted their cultural sector and their traditional sector, while K-pop has become the musical backbone of their country. This era represents the birth of Korean popular music. I- In the due to the early 1950s, while there is K-pop is represented as the birth of Korean popular music, a time when artists shaped by war and influenced by the West began crafting songs that reflected their self. A time when there is difficult phases due to the war, the people were characterized by the famous personalities, like I have already told the famous personalities, like they influenced by the West and they produce their song and they represent their song through they represent their values and norms through the songs and they reflect their struggles, dreams and identity through the music which show the values of which show the value of peoples through the K-pop music. Understanding the 1950s gives us deeper appreciation of how K-pop grew into the worldwide phenomenon today. As we all know that in this era, 20 and 22, 21st or what, 21st century, there is highly known by K-pop through the world. Every person from the world is known to a K-pop, known by K-pop. So this much for today as I submitted this K-pop assignment.